think that's just, yeah, the best one. I still never know how to start these. Oh, actually, I know I'm going to start this. Episode 50.
Wow.
Yes, you're an important number. So,
Woo.
I saved you specially for episode 50. So, I'm not going to expect a thank you or anything, but, I'll give you a dress for the flowers and chocolate. Don't worry.
Fantastic, fantastic.
No, hello, welcome to another episode of Sit Down for Stand Up. I have with me today Catie, was it North London comedian, now Hertfordshire comedian. So, hello, first of all.
Hello, thanks for having me. How are you?
Yeah, really well, thank you. No, absolute pleasure to have you on. I love watching your stuff on Instagram. So I will start with my first question. Um, it's always almost like the five W's, but how did we get into comedy? Why did we get into comedy? And when did we get into comedy?
Okay, so this is thorough.
Yeah, very good.
Uh, so
And
I've
where then?
where yeah, who, why, what, when, where,
How?
and how. Very journalistic. Um, I've just always been a huge, massive comedy fan and just loved comedy. Jokes and stories has always been my favorite thing since I was a small child. Never grew out of that. And I always wanted to try and do stand-up comedy, and I thought I would never do that. That's for other people. That's too hard. That's impossible. But I would just love to do it. And what I eventually in my early 20s, I thought, do you know what? Like, I'm just gonna book in and do it. It's just gonna be a one-off. It'll be like a story once I did stand-up comedy, like the time I once bungee jumped. It's just gonna be an anecdote. Guess what I once did? And that'll be really fun. So I sort of tried to write, like 5 minutes of material and sort of cobbling together anecdotes and stuff. And did it. I did it at the Bedford in Balham in probably 2004, I want to say. Maybe two, no, it probably was tail end of 2004. Jesus. And it actually went really well, especially for a first gig. And the guy that booked it, it was a Tuesday night, and it was Ed Balls, who I think is no longer with us, the Australian comic. And it went really well. And he said, "Oh, you should come back." And then, so then I sort of, and then, because I honestly, I didn't know anything about how to do it. I'd found this in Time Out magazine because I'd probably read in a comedian's autobiography that all the gigs were in Time Out magazine. Because I wasn't even as internet savvy in the early 2000s. Obviously, I did use the internet. I'm not a grandma, but then I did. So then I booked in a few more, like sort of. It was a comedy cafe at the time, and it was all the kind of new act material nights, and sort of just ended up just doing a handful of gigs, and then it sort of grew from there. But it was quite slow. I didn't do much for about 6 months, and then this is really going to date everything. But in 2005, Jimmy Carr launched a comedy idol as extras for one of his DVDs, and it was advertised on Chortle, and no, it was advertised in the Metro. And a friend of mine gave it to me. She said, "Oh, you should enter that." And so I entered that, and then that was a I got into the like the sort of the semi-finals bit of that, and I just we spent the whole day basically in this place. So it's just like 500 comics just hanging out playing cards, waiting for their turn. And oh no, I can't hear you.
Hello?
Oh yeah, were you talking at all?
I'm just nodding and smiling. It's your
Oh
story.
okay.
If I don't
I
talk, it's perfect.
oh
No one
okay.
wants to hear me. They all want to hear you.
I suddenly thought, oh no, you're saying something, and I've been waffling on.
No, no, keep going.
Okay. Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, so like basically that day was quite a turning point. Just simply because I met so many more comedians, and everybody was exchanging like gig info and here's what you should do and ask this person for a gig. And I met my friend Christina Martin, who's been like my lifelong comedy friend, and now she writes books and she's written for Viz and stuff. And so yeah, so that was like a real turning point. And then it just kind of everything kind of sprang a lot more since then.
And since then to where we are now, what sort of experience and comedic skills have we learned along the way? Because like this podcast's all about teaching new comics.
Yeah. Um, I mean, it's an interesting, I think definitely the thing that stand-up comedy does, if you gig regularly, is you really hone your craft of your writing gets sharper. Because I wanted to be a comedy writer and try and write stuff, and I'd written a YA, but before I managed to get published, I'd written a book that never did get published. And, again, in my early 20s, and I thought, this is really funny, this is great. And then I reread it. It never got published, and now I'm really glad. But I reread it a few years ago, and I was really shocked at how sort of hack the writing was. Like I'd gone for quite obvious punchlines, like, something like, that's a bit like the Daily Mail, or, just all those
Hanging
kinds of,
fruit, like
sorry.
low hanging fruit, like
Low hanging
easy
fruit.
quiffs. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what stand up, because if you go and do a stand up comedy gig and every single comic's got a joke about, I don't know, that couple that got busted at Coldplay,
Yes.
or, like everyone's gone for the thing, you kind of be like, oh shit, mine has to be different. If everyone's going to talk about this, I need to find something slightly more unique, or what's my version of it. So it really like sharpens you, because otherwise everyone's already heard the joke, because there's only so much news, or there's only so many, like, we've all got a mum, we've all got a dad.
Yeah.
There's nothing new under the sun. So it's, what are you going to do with it? So I think comedy really helps you sharpen and tighten your joke writing, so that my favorite thing is tight writing with kind of like the fewest amount of words to have the greatest impact. I really admire when people can do that really well. That's not to say that you can't waffle, because obviously the way we talk naturally, so anecdotes are going to be much more kind of waffly. But I definitely think as I've progressed, my writing has got tighter and sharper.
Okay, which like I think one of my most proudest moments, because I'm a fairly new comic, is I've got a twin bit, and
Yeah.
I've got it down from 2 minutes to 1 minute 20, but
Ooh,
I've sort of like kept all the meat in there, and
yes.
that's what I'm sort of happy about. It's like, well, I didn't need to say that, and then that bit can come out. It's no relevance to the
Yeah.
story, It's like instead of saying like, and the other day, you just follow straight. Like, it wasn't needed. Like it was,
Yeah.
and I found like that was sort of quite happy with, because doing your fives, especially at the beginning, doing your fives is
Yeah.
how much can I get in. I'm guessing when you do your 20s and your longer
Yeah.
ones, there is more room to
Yeah, yeah.
waffle.
You've got more time to play with, definitely. No, that's fantastic. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That kind of that tightening, that like,
Mm.
yeah, that's we need, we need as many punchlines as possible. We need a really high gag rate in a five. Like, yeah, that's great.
Would so at the moment, I presume we're doing fives. I presume we're doing tens. We would also headlining from time to time.
What, so for
Yeah,
me,
for yourself.
so also the other thing about me is my career has not been like a straight, it's been a bit meandering. So
Okay.
basically I started doing stand up and I was gigging more, and I was trying to write stuff, and I got to like I so I did a couple of solo. So I was when I was gigging more, I was occasionally headlining, not at the big clubs, but like at smaller decent gigs.
Yeah.
But I was mainly like I was a gigging comic, sort of doing 20s all around, 15s and 20s at my height. And then I did two solo. Well, I did like, what's it called? Like when you all do shows together at so at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, I did a four-hander with Nick Helm and Hannah George and Richard somebody. And then I did a three-hander with Lou Sanders and Hannah again at the Laughing Horse Free Fringe. And then I did my first solo Edinburgh show like over a decade ago. So I did two solo shows back to back, and then I basically didn't gig for quite a while. And I just sort of did the odd gig, and it was partly because I started having kids, but that was sort of an excuse, really. It was just like also by that point I had become a published author. And so that was taking up time and taking my, obviously it was, you sort of have to go where the paid work is as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes, with travel, like the gigs were not as lucrative always.
Mm.
And so just sort of tapered off gigging and was focusing more on writing. But then I also launched I co-created and co-hosted a podcast called Drunk Women Solving Crime, which I was part of for 6 years. I've left; they're still going, and so they're going to be up in Edinburgh as well, which is great. But so I did that for 6 years. But what was great about that too is that Drunk Women did live shows quite quickly. So sort of did the what's that? The Pleasance in Islington, and like 3 months in, and then sellout runs in Edinburgh and little mini tours of the UK. So that wasn't straight stand-up comedy, but it was still live work in that it was a sort of a comedy true crime. It was like a format show where we took it in turns to host. Somebody had researched a crime case and then sort of threw it out to people to guess what had happened, and we had like audience interaction, and it was quite a lot of improv in the show as well. So what was good about so I felt like I'd kept my hand in with the live work. So I was still sort of flexing that muscle a little bit. And also I was writing parenting articles, like funny parenting articles for like online magazines. So anytime something would occur to me that I would have turned into stand up, I was like, oh, that's funny. That could be something. That bit would become an article rather than stand up.
Different skill you had to develop.
Yeah, yeah. So I was still like, I've always like had the notebooks. I've always been like, oh, that's something
The
that's
3 o'clock in
funny.
the morning, writing down on your phone with your broken
Yeah,
heart. Yeah.
absolutely. So I was still doing all that. So I had an outlet for it. And then when I left Drunk Women, it was just partly as well because like it was really fun doing Drunk Women. It was a really fun show to do, but it took up so much time. It just grew and grew and grew because it got successful. Then it just that was it. That was we had to do that one now. So I wanted to just do other stuff as well. And my kids are still relative, they're 7 and 10 now. And it's just there's a lot to balance. So I left that, and then I've now gone back to stand-up comedy after essentially a 10-year break. So that's been really so I was sort of started at the bottom again doing fives and tens and working up new material, which genuinely has been really fun because that is the joy for me. The joy for me of comedy is creating stuff in a really low stakes environment.
Yeah. Alistair Barry said it to me, that people who can go in to these open mics day in, day out, where nobody knows you and you get them laughing, that is the true skill, the true art form.
Yeah,
Anyone when they've made it and they're doing theatre sellouts, people are going there knowing you, expecting to laugh. Which,
yeah,
whilst it's still a skill, the circuit comedians are I mean, they are the athletes. They are
yeah,
the
right.
best of the best. And this comes from a guy who's been killing it since 1998. So
Yeah.
that was lovely. So would you say your 10 minutes is your 5 minutes with extra, and then your 15 minutes is extra? Or do we try and do a whole new set? How often do we do new material? And how
Uh,
often do we try new material?
so
Double that your way.
I suppose so the thing is my focus has been in the last year and a half working up an hour-long show for Edinburgh,
Yeah.
which I'm taking to Edinburgh this year, 2025. Come and see,
Yeah.
we'll
And again,
see.
next month.
4:45, the stand too. Um, but so my focus has been one eye on, oh, that would be in a 15, and one eye on, right, that's the longer, that's the narrative arc, that bit will go there. And then also, if you spend all your time trying to make an hour, it's then really hard when you've got to do a 15 because you're like, oh, but they won't know that bit when I do that bit. But I have kind of got like like a club set that would be, I've got like, that would be a 10, that would be a 15, that would be a 20. But then every now and then, because if you're trying to test new material, like, well, if I don't do that bit, I can slot that bit in and see if they like it. So then you're sort of messing with it. But generally, yeah, it's not, no, well, no, yeah, I would say it would be an extra bit rather than if there's a, if you've got a bit, I typically either do the whole bit or I don't do the bit. I wouldn't do like, well, if I've only got that long, I'll do half a bit, but because I know there's an extra bit that goes with it. But that doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want.
You feel like you wouldn't be doing your own joke justice if you cut half of it out.
A little bit. It really, I suppose it really does depend, but yeah, a little bit.
Okay. And how do you go about writing your jokes? Are you the type, being a well, I was going to say the word bookworm. I'm sorry, I don't know why that was the first one comes to my head, but I'm standing by it. Being a bookie, do you write it out as a script, or do you just write, like premises, punchline?
So I do all different stuff. Once I'm trying to write proper stand up, I get very scripted. And actually, that's what traditionally, because yeah, my background is writing, I guess. I definitely was somebody that felt that I had to write it and write it and write, like make it really perfect. If I think it's bulletproof, then I'm ready to say it on stage. I was never one of these people that would just go up with an idea and riff. And I I think that actually what was good about doing the podcast is it taught me a different kind of life skill because I think especially when I started stand up, I was very tightly scripted. I didn't want to banter with anybody. I had I had like a few things ready if I got heckled, but I didn't want to go, "Hey, what's your names?" and then just do banter. I was like, "No, what if I can't think of anything funny? I have to stick to my script." Which meant that if anything funny did happen in the room, I wasn't particularly like great at utilizing it. And because again, that's like one of the skills that a stand-up needs that I was not honing that skill at all. And with the podcast show, because it was just like a sprawling improv nonsense, yes, and what's going on over there kind of thing, where we were deliberately asking the audience questions and then we were like, taking the piss out of what they said or trying to build comedy with it, that I started flexing this muscle that I had never really used before. And I probably should have started doing that a lot sooner, but I was just a bit sort of scared really. So now when I do stand up, and I still like as if I'm like some great crowd work guy, I'm not. I'm very much still a scripted comedian, but I've got more chops that I can do. Like I deliberately talk to the audience now and I'll ask questions and I've got like much more of an interaction style than a kind of like nervous person reading something they've memorized.
Say like the podcast doing the crowd work sort of took you out of your comfort zone, but then it made you
Yeah.
better as you went along.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I think that is a big worry for new comedians. What if someone says something and I don't know how to respond?
Yeah,
And
absolutely, absolutely.
that is nerve-wracking. I mean, like I said, being a fairly new comic myself, I'm not good at crowd work at all, but I've started in capturing like closed questions.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll give an example, a silly one I do. Is there anyone who's gay in the audience? Oh, thank you for coming out.
Hey.
It's so I know it's a bit low hanging fruit, but I use them as like segue, close
Yeah,
question.
yeah, yeah.
It can't go wrong. And also, I don't think anyone could actually be offended over that either. Which, do you know what I mean? I don't care if I offend, but it's not my goal either.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're not like the punchline is you're not like making fun of people
Yeah,
that are gay. Yeah, yeah.
5 minute bit on my homophobia. If you apply,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like,
it's a
whoa,
PowerPoint presentation.
what's this guy's problem? Um,
So, you sort of had a 10-year break and then you came back. How had the circuit changed in the 10 years?
so quite a lot in terms of everything is very slick now. Although actually, before I tell you about how slick it is, if like people are listening because they want tips, I can give you one that somebody gave me. So basically, do you know like a Banderman, Rob Broderick?
Roderick.
Yeah, like if a Banderman, the improv, the Irish.
If I saw a picture, I'm so bad with names. If I saw a picture, still maybe.
Um, he's ace. So he did years ago. I did his comedy for improv comedy course, and he did this bit that he called parachuting into material. So what you do is you ask a question that you know you've got material about. So if I have material about going on a ghost tour, so I could say to the audience, "Hey, has anyone here been on a ghost tour?" And then I don't have to worry if I can't think of anything funny that they're if like they because obviously you go like, "Oh, what job do you do? You're a doctor." Ha ha ha. I haven't got anything about doctors or whatever. Like you can be like a rabbit in the headlights and panic. But if you know you've got a joke up your sleeve, you're ready. So then whatever they say about ghost tours, I know that I've got a joke, so it doesn't matter if I can't think of anything in the moment.
Clever. So can I give an example? So I can be like, oh, what the hell was that? God, this building's haunted. Does anyone believe in ghosts? Right, then.
I mean, well, no, so you could do it that way,
So
but
I
you
sort
could
of, I don't know if I'll set
literally,
it up.
yeah, no, but yeah, but you're setting it up. Um, I mean, like you can set it up however you want, so you can pretend you've heard a noise if you want,
Good.
but like what
Knock
I
a
mean is
glass
you,
over quickly.
yeah, but you can legitimately say to the in the same way that people will be like, um, oh, if we got, what do you do? Are you a couple? Like all the questions that you might ask the audience when you're
Yeah.
trying to do banter. But if you're afraid of doing banter, do banter that you can very easily segue back to your material.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. That's.
So
I'm not
that is
done.
copyright Rob Roderick, parachuting into material.
Okay. No, I like that. And how often would you try new material yourself? And how many times would you try it out before, you keep it or discard it?
Well, I don't know. I can't remember who told me this, but the rule of three, isn't it? So it's like if you've tried something three times and it doesn't work at any time, then you probably do have to drop it. Or you got to rewrite it. And if you think there's something funny in it, but somehow it's not coming through, something's missing. So you got to try and fix it.
Would you say do it 3 times in 3 different rooms?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you think as a comedian you should play every room you're offered?
Well, like, yes, if you're new because you're trying to find out what you like and stuff. But I think also it really depends on what you want out of it. So if you want to be like a jobbing comic, if you want to be junglers proof, if you want to be like, I can take on any stag do and hen do and I can get booked and I can do it, then you've got to play every single tough room and get like just go through the hell of learning to cope with those situations because they can be so leery. But if like that's not your vibe at all and you actually want to be like a bit more artsy and you think eventually if you can get successful enough, you quite like to play arts theatres and
Mm.
actually you're sort of a bit more theatrical or you're a bit more, maybe you've got some poetry. I don't know. I'm trying to think of artsy stuff. But if you're maybe like, oh, I'm not going to be like for Hindus, I'm going to be for like people that are listening that like, slightly more esoteric references,
What does
then
esoteric mean?
so kind of like sort of highbrow, slightly more like more niche. Do you know what? I am now going to Google esoteric to check that I definitely do know the right meaning of the word esoteric because I'm associating it with being pretty.
Oh, so I'm esoteric. Okay, I'll use that one for the future. Thank you. Uh, uh,
Uh, oh,
yeah,
okay. So it's niche. So it is niche. So
it is
okay. So
niche.
yeah. So I was half right with what I was saying before. But yeah, esoteric describes something that is understood by or meant for only a small specialized group, often due to its complexity or reliance on specialized knowledge. So
Okay,
it's a
so
fancy word for niche. So
comedy's not for everyone. It's for a tailored
so
made
yeah, if you're going to
audience.
be like, yeah, like if you're going to be a bit more Radio 4 or whatever the hell,
Yeah.
like if that is what the kind of thing that you want to be making,
Hmm.
then there isn't really that much point in you doing bear pit gigs because they're not necessarily going to want your puns about the Nile or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
So you got to think about like what you want out of it. But I think while you're working out what you want out of it, you should probably play every room. And like and again, if you're like if you're going to be kind of like some rude like shock jock, like they're not going to probably want you in the art. If there might be certain gigs where they hate C bombs and then they're not going to want you. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like sort of, I guess, slightly tailoring what you want to do with what's out there, but also you got to kind of try everything.
Hmm. Well, my favorite example of that is Joe Alex Mitchell, comedian, Britain's Got Talent finalist last year.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, he when he started his second gig, I always mention this on the pod because I love it so much. I've had him on, and at the beginning, his stuff was he only had queer comedy, and it was a bit preachy, not as a joke. No, do you know what I mean? More preachy, less funny.
Sure.
And he did a room in Burnley for his second gig where there was only 2 people there, and just as he was about to get onto his really heavily queer bit, 50 Burnley builders walk into the room and he's still there just delivering it to them. And they end up throwing like a fish on the stage at him.
Oh, wow.
And like, so the complete opposite of esoteric, one would say. And I love it because he says to me, like, at that moment, I still continued and, he's gone on and made it. So it's
Yeah.
like, it shows the perseverance and he's an absolute lovely guy. So, what would you say is the most anti-esoteric room you've done? I'm going to rephrase that to Daniel language. What's the toughest room you've been in?
Great question. Yeah.
You,
So I have done a couple of junglers gigs.
is that what you call them? Junglers gigs?
Well, so there used to be, it's Junglers gone now, but basically there used to be this comedy chain called Junglers.
Yes.
Is it gone? Do you know what I'm talking
I mean,
about?
I'm nerded out and I've got an Excel sheet of every single comedy club in the country.
Okay.
So, and Junglers is not a
Not on there.
chain. I might have
No,
another jungle in there, but
I
like,
think they folded, and I think you're so young, it was before your time.
how old am I?
I mean, what are you, 23, 25?
You go, girl, 33.
You're not 33, are
That
you?
don't crack, does it? Like that. It's nice and clean, isn't it? Yeah. 33. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for that. That's why you're on the 50th episode. So, what is the toughest room we've done?
Okay, so Junglers was like notoriously like a really tough gig. It was like the lariest weekend kind of it was like New Year's Eve. It was
Bad.
like everyone is drunk and they're all people that they're not like necessarily comedy fans. They're like they will be stag do's, they will be hen do's, and um their night is about them. They're hammered, they're Larry, they're gonna heckle. So I did Junglers Camden and I did I can't remember which other one I did. I think but basically one of them went quite well and then one of them did not go well. Um and I did what else was bad? I did I did well I did the Gong Show
Which
five
one?
I did the Comedy Store Gong Show
Oh, in London.
in
Oh, that's
London.
my first one. Gang, gang.
Yeah, that's very cool. But I did like other gong shows as well, but I did the Comedy Store Gong Show 5 times and then I won it on the fifth time I did it. So all the other times that I did it, I got gonged off like 30 seconds, 1 minute, whatever.
It's the hardest one there is. I've done that and up the creek in Greenwich. I've seen the
Oh
ones at Frog and
yeah.
Bucket up north. Comedy Store London seems to be
Yeah.
the final boss,
It
almost.
is a bloodbath. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just like a bear pit. And but it's sort of like I kind of love it for that because it's like it's not a gig, it's something else.
yeah. And you can't take it personally if you get
Yeah,
gonged off.
exactly,
It just is what it
exactly.
is. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Um, and as soon as like you think that, then it sort of can't hurt you as
yeah.
well because you haven't anyway. Um, so I did that, and then I got because I'd won the night, I got to do a 5 on a Thursday or maybe a Friday. Maybe I did a 5 on a Friday,
Mm.
and that went really well. So then I got a 10 on a Saturday, and the 10 on a Saturday, I absolutely died on my ass in the Comedy Store, and it was really, really awful. And like really was a blow to
Mm.
like my confidence at the time for like for what felt like ages as well.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Well, I always do ask the question at the end, so I will put a pin in it. And one of them is, what time did you bomb the hardest? Hopefully,
Ah.
there is another one in there. So spoilers. Okay. So what is then the worst thing you've seen someone do on stage in your career? Not you, something you've
Yeah,
seen someone do where you're just like, what the hell is this?
that is such a good question.
Oh, pat myself up. Well done, Daniel. I
And
reward myself.
I have seen some things, but what would be like as in like most disgusting or most surprising or just like this is testing this audience's patience, like
What about all three? Tell me an
okay.
example of each one.
Uh, I mean, there's like I've probably the thing that was probably event just like grinds you down is when you see sort of like I guess more like experimental comedy that doesn't like it's just like the people are just new enough that they don't understand quite why what's happening is happening, or just
And they walk off and blame the crowd.
yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely, yeah. I've seen people start having a massive go at the crowd for not laughing and stuff. Or people when, when they're dying, but they want to get a laugh before they leave, so they won't leave, so they just keep going. You're like, no, get
Hold the stage
off.
hostage.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, what is the worst thing I've seen? I might have a think, and then we'll come back to it.
Okay. I'll put a pin in that one then for a second, but I am coming back to it, I promise you. Let me
Yeah.
write a little note here. So
Yeah.
if you did a joke on stage and it absolute bombed, just you somehow might have delivered it wrong, wasn't funny,
Yeah.
how would you acknowledge that on stage?
Um, So I would just come out and say basically, oh, I guess you guys didn't like that one. But also at the moment I've been doing lots of previews, so I absolutely have this get out where it's all, I'm testing new material, so I get to go, well, this is how we learn, and it sort of doesn't matter. So eventually that is going to matter again, and I'm not, I set out my stall at the beginning of the preview going, hey, this is new material. If you like it, laugh. If you don't, stare at me with disdain. And like kind of
That's great,
set
that one. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good cop out. I love them. Like that's good.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. So like I've just had this cop out for ages now, but it's going to start mattering again, and then I'll have to acknowledge it maybe in a slightly different way.
but so why did we start writing children's books?
So that was actually what I did first. I wrote this young adult book before I started doing stand-up comedy because I wanted to write the kind of I love jokes and stories. It was a funny book and sort of about bullying and parents and stuff like that. And I just had always wanted to do that, and I wanted to write the kinds of books that I would have liked to have read when I was a kid and a teenager. And I felt like obviously there's always been like good books, and you can always get Judy Blume and all of that kind of stuff. But I feel like a lot of books that I read when I was a teenager were a bit preachy. They're a bit moral police. Like if anybody steals, they're going to get caught, and it's a bit like, all right, we get it. And they didn't feel completely realistic for how teenagers behaved. So I always kind of wanted to be like, I'm going to write a book where actually like the bullies are really horrible because like you don't know what we're actually dealing with.
Didn't
So
steal under £1,000. Don't get a record.
that's a top tip.
Yeah. Well, my mate's dad, I'm not going to name drop him. He's 64 now, no criminal record, and
Yeah.
he started stealing from B&Q, like the nuts and bolts. And he goes, "Well, they're not going to arrest me now, are they? I'm 64." It's like that is such a bad ethos to have, but I
Yeah.
kind of get it at the same time. It's such like, oh, like yeah, you've lived a perfect life, clean record, never done anything, so you want to
Yeah.
steal like a button, and now every once in a while.
Crazy.
Yeah. More so okay, it's like more like realistic
Yeah.
comedy, no, more
They can't, they
realistic
won't, they
child.
won't touch him. They don't want to lock up an older guy.
Yeah, what's the point? Yeah. So theft under 1,000. Top tip from Katie: if you gotta steal children. So yeah,
Yeah.
more realistic books, not like preachy, everything's wonderful under the rainbow.
Yeah. I wanted it to be a bit less preachy. So I wrote that. So, but this, and again, this is I guess the difference with stand-up comedy too, is that I wrote that book and again, it was like 20 years ago. So everything, you printed it out and I got the writer's like guide. And I went through all the lists of places that you could cold call, and I printed out the first three chapters and a synopsis, and I wrote a cover letter, and I posted it to each place with a postage return envelope so I could get it back again if they didn't like it. And I just was like getting, you'd wait 3 months for a reply. If that, I had my little spreadsheet of like who's got back to me, and everyone's just like, no, thank you, it's not for us. Um, so it's like and then while that was happening, I started doing stand-up comedy. And the great thing about stand-up comedy is it's just like very immediate. Like you can think of an idea that day, test it that night, and then 30 people in a pub are either going to laugh or not,
Yeah.
or 20 people or whatever.
Yeah, instant feedback. Yeah.
Instant feedback. So you don't have this whole like delayed gratification thing going on. We have to wait ages for one person's view. You can just get like 15 people's view like straight away.
Mm.
And so that was really good. But I wait, what was the question that I was supposed to be answering?
Um, oh God, where were we?
Something about kids. Why did it was a,
Is the gratification on stage receiving a joke? And like you weren't getting any responses 3 months in from
yeah, but what I must have you must have asked me about the kids' books.
yeah, like how we got into it. And like,
Yeah.
okay, so I'll move it on then. Uh,
Yeah.
so obviously you've been doing comedy for a while, gone on and off. What is a joke you wrote back in the day that you thought was absolute brilliant, and when you look back now, you think, oh my God, why did I think that was funny?
Um, well, I think I had a few jokes. Well, I mean, I had so I had when I started, I did have a joke about Jade Goody,
Brilliant.
but she was alive, so I'm like, I wouldn't do it now.
I had that joke.
Um, but I, but like, even then, like, it was probably a slightly unfair joke because, it was roundabout when everyone was still sort of laughing at her for like being on Big Brother and like all that kind of stuff. So it probably wasn't like, and I think also it's probably like the noughties were quite toxic for how, everyone treated the celebrities. So it probably like, I probably wasn't like, covering myself in glory with whatever I can't remember what the joke was now, but it probably wasn't like um like I probably wouldn't stand by it now.
Yeah. Okay. And what would you say? Is there a joke that you've done? Because you said you had a 10-year gap. Is there a joke that as soon as you started up again, you were like, right, this is part of my set? Like, what is your favorite joke? And does
What
it usually get your best response? Yeah. What's
from
your
my
favorite joke? And does it get your best response?
from my old set or just any?
And is there like a joke that, no matter what set you do, it is part of it?
Yeah, yeah. I guess yeah, I've definitely got a couple of bits now that I am really happy with. Um so I've got this bit about going back to my hometown,
Mm.
um where I say I went back to my hometown, which is a bit weird. It's always a bit weird when you go back to your hometown. It's weird for me because a lot of my bullies are grandparents now, and that's just my parents.
Okay.
And then it's like fun because you've got like people laugh most of the time. They'll laugh at my bullies are grandparents, and then you've got that little topper of
Yes.
like, so that's quite fun. And then I've got this joke about flashes and how we could solve the problem of flashes if we talk to them the way that mums have to talk to their 5-year-old sons. So it could be like, "Excuse me, sir, I see you've got your winky out. That is for your private time. You need to put that away." And it just kind of goes on like that. But so those
You can
are
also like belittle them. Like if you're going to flash me, have a better package. I
yeah,
mean, I've never flashed anybody in my life,
that
but
is
I'm
good
saying,
to know.
yeah, that's always good, isn't it? But if I flashed and the first response I got was a laughter instead of fear, I think that would be a bit more demoralising. That would
Yeah,
flash a career over quite quickly.
yeah, yeah. That would be good. Yeah. Be like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, not for me.
Okay, so obviously you write the child books, and you said it's more adult comedy. How do you what do we sort of mean by adult comedy, and what is like the transition from going like happy child book place to you know
Yeah.
adult
Um,
comedy?
well, yeah, so basically I had stand up on I had footage of me winning the Gong Show on YouTube
Yeah.
like 15 years ago, whatever it was. And it was quite rude stuff. I had a joke about AIDS in there.
Mm.
I had some sexual jokes, and it was quite sort of like Larry stuff that like it was tight writing, but it was rude.
So what Gong shows
And
need. Gong show is a lot of shock value, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, it was, it was fun, but yeah. And so I had that up on YouTube to like tout for business, like, hey, look at me do great. And then when I got the book deal, I went in for this meeting and they said, yes, we looked at your stand up online and we
Oh,
thought it was very funny, but it's very rude and it's really not the brand that, these two things cannot cross-pollinate in any way.
mhm.
And so one of the things that we did was, so I'm Catie Wilkins for my stand up, but I'm Catherine Wilkins for the books.
More formal, more like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very like Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Do you put like your middle name as like the initial, like Catherine J?
No, I mean like yeah, not even we haven't even done that to disguise it. But like also I took those videos down because I kind of thought I think they're telling me to take them. They didn't say please take these down, but I
Yeah.
kind of took it that maybe they did. They just didn't want like any kind of they didn't want like I don't know like Mumsnet to go like she can't do children's books. This is rude.
Hmm. I mean,
Even though
how does a comedian, if they fail at comedy, get another job with HR these days? I'm sort of, if this ever goes to crap and I need to go get a job somewhere, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like,
yeah.
the amount of material they've got, it's a little bit scary.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, what you have to there must be jobs that don't care.
Hopefully, yeah. What advice would you give to somebody sort of starting out? You know, they're a little bit worried about getting on stage. They're worried people are going to heckle them. No one's going to laugh. What advice would you give someone? And you can't say just do it.
You can't say just do it.
No, because I've now made this joke 5 times. This isn't a Nike advert. Everyone says to me, "Oh, just do it. Just do it." That you got to actually give me something tangible.
All right, all right. Well, first of all, you got to change how you're thinking about it. So, if it's scary, why is it scary? Because people are gonna like. So for me, like I one of the reasons I started doing stand up is because I realized that we're all gonna die, and life is short, and do you really want to just like never do anything? You're gonna die anyway. So it's actually scarier to do nothing. So, and like, so what? 30 strangers in a pub think you're a dickhead. So what? Loads of people think I'm a dickhead now. It's fine.
Yeah, so
Like,
I'm agreeing with you. I'm not calling you a dick.
yeah,
I agree. I see where they're coming from.
yeah, they're absolutely right. Bang on, you're a
Spot on.
dickhead.
On the back of your
Um,
blurb.
so you don't have to, so change how you're thinking about it. Don't be like, oh no, what if these people don't think I'm funny? Be like, I hope they don't think I'm funny. I don't give a shit. Let's get out there. Let's assume they don't think I'm funny. Anything that's good is now a bonus. Like, put the bar on the floor and then you're winning straight away. So change how you're thinking about it because then it won't be scary and then you won't give a shit. And genuinely don't give it like try not. For me, I struggle when I give a shit. So like when I'm doing like gigs and it's like this is fun, this is for me. I love doing comedy. And then as soon as it starts to go well and then it matters, oh like so and so's in to see you, and I'm like oh fuck, now it matters, and that's when I fall apart. But when it's low stakes, it's like great. Bring it on. I don't care if you like me. I genuinely don't care if you like me. There is nothing to lose here. So change it that you don't care. So change your perspective if you can. And then also, if you're worried about hecklers, have something in your back pocket that you could say. And you'll have, I mean, like just Google Jimmy Carr and see if you can find all the stuff he said, because he's like very good at crowd work and like
Yeah.
he's always got something in his pocket if people shout out. But I had one. So one of the times I did the Gong Show, I'd got to about 30 seconds and some men in the audience shouted out, "Get your tits out." And I squinted into the audience, pretended to try and look for them, and I went, "Uncle Joe?"
Yeah.
Like as if I thought that
Yeah.
that was my family. And then so that got me a laugh. That bought me like another 20 seconds, but then I still got gonged off that day.
Yeah.
But so like
Brutal. Comedy style's brutal. Like,
yeah. But so just have stuff in your back pocket. Like if what do you think they're going to shout at you? Have something ready. If you're worried about hecklers, get some preparation. Um, yeah, I don't know. Did I answer the question?
absolutely perfect. I mean, I always say stand-up comedy is cheaper than therapy. Is my answer always. As a new comic, would you advise them to record every set?
I would actually recommend recording the audio on your phone because
Yeah.
that's easy enough to do. That's oh, I was going to come back to this. When you asked me about like how is the comedy circuit different now than it
Yes.
was 10 or so years ago, and one of the things is like everybody is a TV production house now.
Mm.
So when I came back and I was like going through my little list and trying to book on gigs, sometimes they would reply saying, "Yeah, great. Have you got a 10-minute set
Yeah.
at a professional gig that, e.g., the Comedy Store that we can watch?"
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "Nope, I don't have that. All of those are really out of date,
Yeah.
and I don't have any of those." And the gig, and then it becomes like this real chicken and egg thing of like, well, I need a set to be able to do your gig, but I need your gig to be able to get a set. So like, how do we do this, guys?
Need someone to
Like,
trust in you.
yeah, or I mean, I guess you have to get recommended and stuff. I genuinely don't know. I'm still, so basically, I started trying to record all my gigs on my iPhone when I started to come back doing like these
Yeah.
gigs. And then I I I said, hey, I said to my friend, like, hey, shall I post this online and try and get more gigs? And they were like, look, the thing is, that's like your third gig back. You're saying quite a lot. And this footage is quite bad quality because it's on your phone. And like now, like since you've been away, everybody has the slickest like stuff online. Everybody's stuff on YouTube just looks like a production company filmed it because all the young people know how to do all this stuff, and like the standards are really high. So they were like, "Don't. This actually makes you look quite amateurish. Don't share this." I was like, oh, "Fuck! I'm gonna have to like basically like have a TV studio or like be really successful before I can even tout for business." Like, so that was like quite a big change in terms of when I started to now. But then but also, so even if you like, I think you should record your gigs, not like so that you can put it online, unless you definitely like if it's a good gig and you're gonna like get it quite polished, then definitely that could be a good way to tout for business. But I just think it's really good to listen back because like those gigs where I didn't record it and then I kind of forgot. You always think you're going to remember what bit they laughed at, but you actually really, it's really hard to do because there's so many things happening at once, and you're
Completely.
almost in a dream state. And then there were times when I then did start recording it, and just stuff that you don't notice, like it's like, oh, they laughed at that, and then they laughed at that, but I left a bigger pause. So now when I do it, I'm going to leave a bigger pause, or like there's just stuff like, oh, but they really liked, and like just the nuances that you would lose if you hadn't. So if you could be bothered, definitely record and listen back and make notes on what worked and what didn't work. Obviously it becomes like a really proper job if you start doing that, but that definitely is worth doing when especially when you're starting out, I guess, and you're like, well, I don't know, was that good?
With the time difference, because I know you said about like the quality of cameras. I remember when I think I was 11 or something, and my older brother's 4 years than me, and he spent about £400 on this Samsung camera that went times four zoom and up to 8.2 megapixel. And now I don't know what phone's even on the market that is shitter than that now, and it's
Yeah.
all massively evolved. So how important? I'm going a long way around this. How much has sort of like the importance of social media evolved?
Yeah, like well it definitely it's evolved in that it's one of the things that people are looking for. So even if you want to do it, like if you don't want to be you don't want to be famous, you don't want to be a stand-up comedian, you just want to be an author, they'll be like, "What's your social media following?" And be like, "What? Why do I have to have one of those?" So, and like, you don't have to, but if you do, it's definitely something that they look for because then obviously you've got like a built-in audience that you can tell what you're doing and you can make, potentially monetize. So social media is important in that, like, but again, it's like one of those things like, because if I had a million followers, I wouldn't care about all this other stuff.
I would cash
Like,
out so hard. Like when they
yeah.
say, "Oh, don't become an industry porn," oh, pull me away. Like, I would haul myself out for 1 million followers right now. I'll pretend, I mean, I've got all my what's it called, my morality and things I die on the hill. No,
Yeah, right.
it would go in seconds. We all like to pretend to be heroes. So I'll go back to: did we think of the worst thing we've seen on stage?
No. There was No, I can't. Do you know, I can't. There's definitely some stuff, and it's all like the trauma has blocked it out. The only thing I can remember, which isn't that bad, was there was this guy, and he was one of the characters that you'd always see at these kinds of gigs 20 years ago. Um, and it was like he was sort of doing anti-comedy, and he was just doing it for him, and he was having a great time. And he just did not give a shit if anyone liked it. And one of the
Thought
things he
that a little
did,
bit. Right.
yeah, yeah, you kind of admire it unless you're like, I need to get the train home.
It is kind
Um,
of your delusion at one point.
yeah, yeah. It's like, come, damn it, we've all got stuff to do.
Yeah.
But he did this bit where he asked every single individual person in the audience whether they scrunched or folded toilet paper.
Brilliant. Okay.
And it's just like you're like, okay. And then
Yeah.
like, but
Imagine
he
market
just
researcher.
yeah, yeah. And then if anyone said they folded it, he was like, no, you're wrong. You should be scrunching it. And then he'd just carry on. And it was just like after about three people, like, ah, ha ha ha, I get it. And then he was like 11 people, he's still doing it. He's not stopping. He's going to do the whole room. And I just like it was one of those things that it could start to become potentially irritating. But actually, it was still kind of quite funny. So he definitely isn't the worst thing I've seen. But there was a certain type of thing that would become tedious, I
Yeah.
guess.
I was quickly going on that, which is so irrelevant, but I feel like I just want to get it off now. I always judge a pub on the quality of their toilet roll. If it's triple ply, I know, oh, this is a respectable establishment. If it's
Yeah.
single ply, I'm like, oh, dear, they don't care. They don't clean their lines. They've got single
Right.
ply in the toilet. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but that's always been. And I own a pub, and I've always had triple ply. It's always been a hill I've died on. Like, okay, we might not have Chris today, we might not have pork scratchings, but our toilet paper is the
Yeah.
best of the best.
That's
And
the criteria.
for some reason, that's how I've always judged an establishment. Do not know why. I know that's weird. And
No, that is a great hill to die on.
thank you. Yeah, but that is when I will go. So I will end it with this. It is my favourite question I always ask. It's a two-parter. Don't really give a shit about the first part, but I ask it to be polite. What's been your favourite moment on stage, and what time did we bomb the hardest?
Um,
Doing this toilet paper bit.
I I get genuinely winning the Gong Show was a massive high point of
Yeah.
like because it like number one, it's ridiculous. Like it's not even a gig, it's a bear pit. And um
So
it'd
can I
been
real
a
quick jump in for 1 second? With
yeah.
the Gong Show in Comedy Store, just to show you how hard it is, when
Yeah.
I did it, there were 40 people who did it, only two people got through. That is the
Yeah.
level of fucking gladiator
Yeah.
ruthlessness. You might look at other Gong Shows, Comedy Store is the bastard of the bastards.
Okay, so to
I'll
just
tell
to
you.
add to that, like that's great intel. And the night that I won it, Jim Jeffries was the gong master. He was absolutely brutal, and he had gonged off this girl, and then she came back on stage and threw a pint over him.
What, while he was in the. Oh, when he was emceeing it, he weren't in the.
He was
Yeah.
emceeing it, and she didn't like that she got gonged off, so she came back and threw a drink over him. So it was like the atmosphere was like the just
Yeah.
beyond like anything I'd seen. It was just like the most crazy night. And also it's audience voting, like it's audience cheering. So it's not like, oh, this person in the industry likes you or doesn't like you. It's like you made this room of people laugh. You did the job. Like, so something really like, I don't know, I can't think what the word is, but
I
it's
like I
not.
like what you said earlier when you're like, oh, I did a joke, it made them laugh, so it bought me another 20 seconds. It
Yeah.
won't buy you 5 minutes.
No.
It will just give you, oh, here's an extra 5 seconds. We'll now give you on the clock for that joke that made the whole room laugh. Here's an extra 10 seconds.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
the level of.
That's how it is. And it's like gladiator. It's like they're cheering the punch and then but you can still go down and they'll cheer.
Oh,
Like
down a second, thumb down,
yeah.
executed. So
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was a
yeah.
highlight.
Yeah, that was a definite highlight. And then what's my worst bombing? I mean, I've had I haven't really been heckled. Well, that I think I did get again, that the store gig that I then did that didn't go so well. I'm pretty sure I got heckled. But again, I think I've blocked it out from trauma. I don't, I maybe I because the other thing that would typically happen to me is people would just start talking,
Mm.
like, and
Yeah,
then it can be difficult to get back in charge of the room. Or like I did a gig where this man just kept sighing. He was in the front row and he sighed really loudly, and then he sighed again. And it was kind of like, what? Like, how do you even address that? Because it's like you don't want to fall into the trap of like, and this is something that a lot of new comedians do because it's so easy to do. Where like if some it's like that man sighing, probably not everyone has noticed. So if I did then comment on it, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, we thought the gig was going really well. Why are you derailing your own gig?" So it like
yeah,
you don't want to draw attention to that if no one else has noticed it. But then if it is actually disrupting the room, you kind of do have to go, are you sighting?
yeah.
Like what? You know, like it's difficult to know the protocol for like so you can go too nuclear
Mm.
when something isn't necessarily needs that. You don't want to go from 0 to 60 if you don't need to, but you also don't want to be like, hey, please listen to me when everyone's
Yeah.
like already like, what the fuck? But yeah, I think I've done a gig where I was introduced. Was it now? I can't even remember if this happened to me or my friend. Maybe it happened to both of us. Everything is so blurry. But like, no, I think the compere said the next act's a woman, and everyone booed. So that was a tough
That's
gig.
yeah, that's lost them straight away.
But then I think I think that one actually did go well.
Mm.
I haven't, I don't know. I've answered some of your question.
No, it's been brilliant. I mean, I'll tell you, like my like that being a women's awful setup. I think I can beat it. My name's Daniel Farr. Someone went, "Oh, Daniel Farr. Oh, hopefully he doesn't stink up the room." And you know, it's like I don't know how to follow this. Like, no, it's Farr, 2 R's, thank you. Like, you know, it was like a second before, and like once again, I didn't know how to follow it up.
Yeah.
I was just like, "Oh God, like that's funnier than half my material." I'm gone. But no, I mean, like, we do block out the bad moments, but at least we're aware of them. Like one thing I'm not a fan of is when it's gone bad and a comedian walks off stage and they blame the crowd. I mean, there are bad crowd moments,
Sure, yeah.
but if 9 people have killed it and you haven't, then
Yeah.
you got to address it. But you know, we're all learning. And would you agree when it comes to comedy, there's no such thing as a finished article?
Yeah, I would actually, because yeah, it does. Yeah, I would 100%.
Perfect. Katie, thank you ever so much for coming on. You've been absolutely brilliant.
Thanks for having me. This has been really fun.
I'm glad. I'm glad. And like I said, all the stuff. If you want to, find Katie's books and everything like that, just and all her Instagram and all that jazz, it'll all be in the description below, guys. Katie, thank you ever so much.
Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you. Bye.